To hear it from one of Canada's leading economists, Ontario's finances are bad, really bad, and only getting worse. But Don Drummond also has a solution: drastically heavy-handed cuts to just about everything: education, healthcare, and much, much more. And he says if the province doesn't listen, Ontario could become the next Greece. The CBC's Havard Gould starts us off with the details tonight. Havard.
Peter, what's being recommended adds up to years of austerity, touching every person and almost every program or service in Ontario.
Yeah, you've got concerns about your blood pressure?
The report calls for a massive effort to restrain healthcare spending, in part by shifting as many patients as possible out of hospitals and into places where healthcare can be delivered at lower costs.
We know that by keeping people in their home and out of the acute care system on those wait lists, we can save some dollars.
But healthcare advocates are already saying this could be painful. The report recommends holding healthcare budget increases to around the rate of inflation, something that hasn't been done for 30 years. And Ontario's aging population needs more services all the time.
We're very worried because what's going to come of this is cuts mainly to the services needed by seniors.
There could be deep cuts for kids too. Class sizes, which the province had reduced according to the Commission, should now grow. The budgets for textbooks and other supplies could be slashed by 25%. And it's recommended that 10,000 non-teaching jobs, including library assistants and guidance counselors, be cut.
If we're hearing, let's scale everything back, let's take money out of this system, I think we're kind of robbing the kids.
The report does not recommend cutting welfare benefits, as Ontario did in the 1990s. But taken together, the 362 recommendations are, even the author concedes, draconian. And Don Drummond argues Ontario's situation is so grim that any item rejected will have to be replaced with something else.
The challenge and the solution will have to be pretty much unprecedented in Canadian post-war history.
Ontario's minority government must now decide whether to, as advised, raise electricity rates. They were just lowered because of public anger. At the same time, the Commission also says everyone in Ontario should also be forced to pay much more for water. While road tolls aren't being ruled out, along with extra gasoline taxes and unspecified user fees. The only response from Ontario today, the government says it knows it has to act to prevent a crisis.
We can't simply go on doing things the way we've been doing them as a province.
The report was not supposed to look at raising taxes, but it does suggest that a couple of $2 billion could be found by, among other things, cracking down on the underground economy. Drops in the bucket, though, compared to the money now expected to be raised by years of austerity in Ontario. Peter?
Havard Gould in Toronto. Thanks, Havard. Amanda Lang is here. Now, this is pretty dire warning from a respected economist. Your take on this?
Dire's not a bad word for it, and one of the most important messages actually from the Drummond report are the assumptions it's making about growth. It says that the way Ontario used to grow at rates of 3% a year may never return. To make up for that, he's saying spending has to be held in line, and in fact that means it drops in order to make sure we don't wind up deep in the red a few years from now. He doesn't make a lot of suggestions about new revenue like higher taxes, which is something governments do have at their disposal. It's really important to note that the Ontario debt levels are at super high levels today, higher than they've been in recent memory. When rates are low, that's okay. Just like households, you can service that debt. At some point, rates are going to go higher. And just like households, you want to get out in front of that problem.
All right. Well, I think we can all understand why people in Ontario should care about this. Why should anyone else?
Well, partly because it's a huge economy and job growth here does affect job growth everywhere else. We're interconnected. More importantly, we're a federation, just like what's happening in Europe. Of course, Ontario historically has sent money to the feds to share with less well-off provinces. For some time now, it's been in a position where it could actually be the recipient of some of that money. So if you're Alberta or Newfoundland and actually enjoying high commodity prices and a stable economy, you're watching to see we get the fiscal house in order here, or you may be sending money here at some point too.
All right. Amanda, thanks very much. Senior business economist, reporter, correspondent.
Something.
Yes. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks.